Okay, today we keeping it short and sweet. We talking about irons versus red dots. Let's get into it. Okay, so iron sights are simpler, yes, but are they the right fit for you versus a red dot? Let's talk about it. So the reason I like irons more, because you got a lot of solid options for irons, and I feel like if they're paired well together with a red dot, like something like this, where they're actually in front of it, but it's all blacked out, then they're not too distracting, but they're still there if I need them, right? Or you can have an option like this, where you have them in front, right? And then if you need them, they're there. They're not too much of a distraction, but if the red dot fails, then you definitely got it, in your face, right? That's another option. So if you pair them well, then you got options like this, where the red dot or the irons are actually built into the sight, and it still, coexists with the irons, and you can still see the iron. If the red dot fails, you can still see, and I got a really bright tritium on this one. So just a couple options you have as far as red dots pairing with the irons. And then you have irons that are, you got your plain Janes like this, the tritiums, right, where it's the 2 dot, and then you got like stuff like the 1 dot like this with the, I believe I have the U notch on here. I might not sure, but you can see that, how that really pops out. And you got the tritium, so it's all night sights. One thing I wanted about most of mine is I wanted night sights on my irons, just so that I can see them at night, obviously, because once it goes dark, I don't want, I want to be able to at least identify my dots, if not nothing else. But I also have lights on it, so I would say if you're getting blacked out, go with the light. But if not, get some tritium. Even still, you can have tritium with the light too. They'll still work. But I would say get a light if you plan on carrying at night. Anyways, you gotta always think about your context of when you're carrying it. Because people always think like, oh, well, I'm gonna have my light, and then they don't bring it. And how you gonna have it if you don't? People are like, well, nothing will happen to me at night until it happens to you at night. Anyways, so these are a couple options with the irons. I don't really have a pros and cons list. I'm just listing them off as I can basically think of them. Irons don't have not nearly as much options as with the the red dots, because you have like the tritiums, you have the fiber optics, then they have fiber optic tritium. Fiber optic basically just glows really bright in the daytime, and then it's real dark at night because you can't really see it unless it gets light. It basically uses light to brighten it up. And I thought about getting some tritium nights, or fiber optic tritium night sights, and that was A, really expensive, and B, I was like, expensive for iron sights, right? All the freaking iron sight is this right here, and the front and the rear, right? These two pieces right here. That's all it is. These front two pieces, right? So I was like, that's pretty crazy. I'm talking about, it was like upward of like $150-200 just for the irons. I'm like, that's crazy. Just these parts right here. So I was like, I'd rather save money and get me a red dot for one of my optic cut options. That's another, sorry, my phone's on. That's another option, actually. Another expense you have to take into consideration if you're doing a red dot and you don't have it cut for a red dot, like something like this. You'd have to actually pay to get it cut, in addition to mounting the red dot, buying the red dot, and then, not everybody has the right pattern, the right screws and stuff. I'm actually thinking about getting a side note. Actually thinking about getting this cut for the Holosun SCS, getting this MOS cut for the SCS, so that I don't have to actually buy a battery for that. And yeah, they do have batteryless red dots. As you can see, most of mine have solar panels on there, so that when the battery fails, I can put it into solar mode and it'll run off of the sun. Even my small EPS carry has the solar on there. So what does that do? It just basically the solar is twofold. It helps it adjust to the light. It doesn't charge your battery. It'd be nice if it did. There is one that actually does, the SCS and the SRS, I believe, the solar rifle sight, and the I don't know what they stand for, but I know the SCS does charge because it has no external battery, and that's another thing that these do have. And not everyone is gonna be like the SCS or the SRS, I believe it's called, for the rifles. These do take batteries. Got battery tray right here, battery tray right here, and then, you know, battery tray right here. So they take batteries, and they will work without the battery due to it is having the solar, but not everybody wants the solar, because in a lot of people's minds it's not worth it, because it does increase the price quite enough to justify it for me, but maybe not to other people. Maybe they don't want to pay the extra 40-50 bucks for the solar, or sometimes it's 100 at that. Sometimes that's not justified in their mind, that they don't want to do the solar. But when the battery dies, it can run on solar, but it doesn't charge the battery, like I said, so it'll only work basically at during the day when you can adjust it. It does help it auto adjust too, but I think it needs like a forward sensor so that it can sense what's out instead of just what's in this area. Because if I got my flashlight on, it's gonna brighten up this right here, but it's gonna be still dark back towards this, towards the actual sensor. So, you know, red dots are coming a long way. They've actually came a long way from just when I started buying them and doing my research on them, because what I've wanted from a red dot has really changed. I wanted one that would actually, I was under the impression that the solar would charge it at first, so I wanted one with a solar, with multiple reticles, and then that was when they started mounting the batteries on the side, because they used to mount them on the bottom, because I didn't want to have to, if I'm changing my battery, I don't want to have to re-zero my red dot every time. So that's when they got the side loading battery. I'm like, okay, cool, but they're still got a ways to go. I don't think none of them are perfect or nothing like that. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the enclosed versus non-enclosed emitters video, but getting to that point, these emitters, let me get my pointy Sharpie. These emitters right here that are in there, that's the emitter right there. It's basically just a kind of a laser projecting onto the glass. Those things can get clogged up and fail and all type of stuff. You know, that's a failure point. When it's dirty outside, or maybe you're just running the crap out of these red dots, that emitter can get blocked. You know, some people might say that it's easy to wipe it off. I don't think it is, personally, but that's why I bought an emitter, enclosed emitter, because this one, APS carrier, got 2 panes of glass protecting it. So, you know, and all the safety Nazis, don't freak out. All of these are unloaded. I already checked, but see that, and then it got the back. So that's an aspect really that I don't think will come into play for most people. Most people are usually just worried about like belly and dirt from their body getting onto the, you know, because it does get dirty. You know, you shed a lot of cells and stuff every day. So that is one consideration to take into account. But I don't even think most people will actually use the red dots to their full potential, like actually running them all the time. Actually running it to the point where it might break, where you might shear a screw off, or, you know, have to rack it off of the surface of the red dot, or, you know, I don't know, insert whatever strenuous situation you want to right here. Most people are just going to use these for concealed carry or just range toys, and they're going to sit in the back of their safe. So, you know, take that into consideration. But one thing that red dots red dots do fail. That's one thing they can do. Even with the solar could stop working, the battery could die, and then what? Then you just basically got a big old open window that you can see your irons through. Maybe. Have I had a red dot fail on me? Absolutely. Go check out my Vism flip dot video. I made like 2 or 3 videos about it. And they said that thing was pistol rated, and it doesn't make sense. I'll even watch the slow-mo, like when I flip it up, and then when you shoot it, it's like bounding back every time you shoot it. So not only is the dot literally moving when I'm shooting it, but you know, I don't know. I literally shot the glass out. Like it was crazy. I don't think that thing was ever meant to be on any pistol, but they said, Vism said that it was good for pistols. I don't know why they said that, but they did. But, you know, just a sneak peek of something that I want to show off for all those who came and stayed this long into the video. But anyways, things that you take into consideration for these. What are you going to use it for, right? And we're going to talk about that later. Different types of carry. It's not just concealed carry. Contrary to a lot of people's belief, just because you have a gun on you does not mean that just constitutes concealed carry. There are sub levels to concealed carrying. We'll talk about that in a later one though. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Do you prefer irons? Do you prefer red dot? Or with like the bigger options that they have now, do you prefer a big old dot with no irons, or suppressor height sights with no red dot? It's a lot of options out there. Just, you know, pick one that works for you and train the shit out of it. That's what I would say. Just train the mess out of whatever you're gonna run. Just run it. Because I run the crap out of my guns. I love the crap out of my guns. But every gun that I have serves a different purpose. Each one has a role that it plays, and I just let it play that role, and I tested in that role so that I could trust my life to it, you know. But let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff, and we got more coming, so stay tuned for more. Peace in the Middle East.